Good evening, Texas bikers and bikers all across the nation. This is Texas Biker Radio News. It is December the 11th, 2020. The title of tonight's show is The Constitution Dead. My name is Mel Popeye Moss, sometimes known as Butch Popeye Moss. I answer to both. You know, after today, I do believe the Constitution is taking its last breath. When we have Supreme Court justices, who, by the way, also assassinated the Supreme Court. In other words, they're going to make themselves irrelevant, because what they've done now is not only throw the Constitution under the bus, throw the American people under the bus, throw the rule of law under the bus. They have emboldened people like this, up here. It is incredible that they said the Texas case had no standing. And there was a 7-2 decision. That means that the 3 Trump appointees to the Supreme Court sided with the progressives on the Supreme Court. Now, we did hear, I think I brought it up on podcast number 425, that we had heard through the grapevine that Justice Roberts was telling the other Supreme Court justices, hey, we don't want this. We don't want this. They didn't want it in their lap. They didn't want to be the ones to make the decision to overturn an election. Actually, it wouldn't be overturning an election when you think about it. We had 4 states, we had multiple states that were, their election process was in question. And it was just a simple question. Did they follow the Constitution or not? Now, that's their job, is to make rulings on that. But they couldn't bring themselves to do it. Why? Well, one of the other things we heard is, hey, look, we don't want to cause the country to be burnt down by people like this. People like this that are making threats. Now, as I've said many times, these people and the people in the streets, we outnumber them. We outnumber them. So let them throw all the fits they want to throw. But now what they've done is they've emboldened them. As you heard me say, many of the bikers we have in court proceedings now, their cases hinges on constitutional issues. But as we pointed out, the judges here in Texas and other places across the country have been ignoring the Constitution for years, for decades. And now the Supreme Court has done the same thing. So we're going to have to see where we go from here. Now, there are people out there tonight that are saying, hey, this is not over. We still have cases pending. But this signals that the Supreme Court doesn't want anything to do with it. So now it's up to us to come up with a strategy. Like I said, like I pointed out, this is our fault for re-electing these people year after year, decade after decades, where they could collude and enrich themselves off of our backs, who would sell themselves to foreign governments. And now we're seeing that's coming to light. But you think it's not going to get swept under the rug now? Do you think any of those cases are going to go forward? Do you think the FBI is not being corrupted? Do you think the Homeland Security is not being corrupted? And that's what we're talking about here. Now, I do believe going forward there's going to be opportunities. They're going to be slim, but you've got to be willing to act. And number one right now is this next election in Georgia. I mean, is there any chance that that election is going to be fair without a bunch of shenanigans going on? All eyes are going to be on Georgia, as it should be. Now, our club, we have church tomorrow. And you know, our club is all about defending the Constitution, what's left of it, or even if it matters. But we will do that. We will do that to the bitter end. And so stand by, because what's fixing to happen, the news blackout, the censorship, and all of it's fixing to crash. What I mean is it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So we're going to have a lot of work ahead of us, and it's an uphill battle. It always has been an uphill battle. It always has been. We always start out from behind, every time. Every time. You know, I've been at this now since 2004. Fighting the whole way what came today. I would have never believed it. Actually, this happened sooner than I thought, because our children are being trained to hand the keys over to them. You know, and as I was watching protests going on last night up on the West Coast, Oregon, wherever it was at, Seattle, their numbers were dwindling. But now they're going to think they're in the driver's seat. And we put them there by ignoring the situation and re-elect these people year after year, decade after decade. Now we're in a real jam, What happens to these bikers with their cases pending? And now we got the COVID thing, COVID. And they're still trying to work to collapse the economy. We'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens on the end of January. But you know, I do believe because of what the left was going to do, if you listen to me, everybody, if this hadn't have gone their way, and it has so far, there's still some cases out there, there's still a slim chance. If it hadn't gone their way, the states on the West Coast were talking about secession. And I do believe in this case, well, what we're seeing going on, and if we can't get this ship turned around, secession should be on the table. Yeah, I do believe that. That should be on the table. And that threat should have been there all along. All along. But in order to have any of that kind of stuff happen, you have to vote in people who will make it happen. We can't keep electing the John Cornyn's of the world. We can't keep electing people, Republicans, that are going to go fist bump Kamala Harris or AOC or any of those people. You cannot work with them. They will run over you. Every time conservatives put a hand out to the other side, they pull back a nub. This is what happens. They know how to fight, and we don't, our side. They try to be nice, they try to work with people, and they get stomped on. And that's exactly what happened here. You know, some people come in at the last minute here with that Texas case out there, signing on to it, putting support behind it. Even conservative Republicans, hey, look, too late. You should have been doing that months ago, years ago. Instead, we've been getting fed a bunch of BS by everybody. They didn't have the guts to fight. Like I said, we have church tomorrow. We're going to see which direction we're going to go, what we need to do here. It may take us a few days. Hell, it may take us a week to figure out what we want to do, what we want to support. But we will be working to try and keep the Senate in the conservative hands. We will be working to try and keep the fraud, and I know we'll probably get in trouble for that, or the anomalies from happening in Georgia. Like I said, all eyes are going to be on that. But bikers can play a part in what's going to be happening going forward. We certainly can. And like we pointed out the other night, we've moved mountains when we've had to. And that was working these elections. We got people around here in our area that need to be thrown out of office. If they weren't on with the program, then they need to be thrown out of office. If they're not for term limits, they need to be thrown out of office. And we don't need that BS that you can term limit me at any time, because we know that 90% of the time the incumbent wins. Except for this time. Biden defied the odds. Absolutely incredible. Campaigning from a basement. Not campaigning at all. Talked very little about policy. It's going to be interesting to see if he lasts 6 months. It's going to be his health, or it's going to be his family and his criminal activities behind the scenes. It's our job to shine the lights on it, whether YouTube likes it or not. And we will continue to do so. We will report on things that we find is true. In a sea of lies, whether they're perpetrated by the mainstream media, by big tech, or just the crazies that are out there like this person who's threatening us by sending her minions out to harm people. She and others like her should be in jail. But we're not going to get any of that. Laws for them, laws for us. We've been bitching about that for years. And now it will be on steroids like it has been the last 4 years. Maybe worse. Maybe worse. We're going to take a couple of days to assess the situation. You guys join us back here when we come back on live. OG will be with me in studio. So, get ready. Yeah, you're right, Red Dog. If the Sahara Desert was owned by and controlled by liberals in 5 years, it would be there would be a sand shortage. That's true. That's true. You know, one of the key things here is once they take control, what sector of our economy falls first? And I do believe if any of that happens quickly, there's opportunity there. There's opportunity. There will be other crises ahead because of their crazy schemes. And we should be ready. We should be ready to take advantage of them. Hey, the old adage, the old thing there, never let a good crisis go to waste, that works both ways. Both ways. You've got to get as mean and as vicious as the other side has been. Like I said, with that, we'll be back in a couple of days. We're gonna go to our church tomorrow. We're gonna have a good time, relax, talk about it. Give us a day or two here to figure it out. With that, everybody, have a good evening. Ride safe. If you don't have a motorcycle, buy one. Come ride with us. This is Butch Popeye Moss. Bye-bye.